This is the John Hallett Podcast with John Hallett.
It's because the way we're living, we need to change it, make it change today. And all learn from failure. Maybe they just wanted it a little bit more than you. That's probably the fact.
And now your host, John Hallett.
Hey everyone, welcome back to the John Hallett Podcast. I am John Hallett. We are here today. We're talking Rocky Mountain Self-Defense and Fitness, the sponsor of this show. So if you know somebody that might be interested in self-defense or fitness, send them our way. You never know. Thinking, it might be for you. It's not for everybody, but I feel like, and I was just talking to somebody that wanted to set up something for their work and do a little event, team training, that I feel like everybody should learn self-defense. I talked to another group that they did a lot of stuff like trails or something. I forget the name of the group, a nonprofit. And, we're out there on the trails and I feel like everybody should do it. I'm like, yes, it's my career, but so many people just put it off. And here we try to make it doable for everybody. We've got a great kids program. We've got the fitness side, the teenagers, the adult program, the concealed carry. Everybody needs training, and so many people suffer from thinking that they're better than they actually are. Really, I think everybody thinks they're a little bit better. We all want to be better, but when it comes to self-defense and protecting ourselves and our family, you can't train enough. That Dunning-Kruger effect is really scary when you don't do anything and your skills aren't there. So I'm always get in the gym, train more. You're going to be healthier. You're going to live longer. Just the benefits health-wise overall. The mental state of doing something. Find your fit. Come on in here. Check it out. We're a good group of people. Always trying to make it doable for everybody. Hashtag suck less. We just want the whole community to be a little bit better every single day. So how are you, Josh?
I'm for a day or two. I felt like I was held together by sheer pure willpower and duct tape, but I'm good. I feel better. Went and pulled off some training, 35 hours of intense combat training, stuff you've already gone through, and it changes your world when you've got new people beating you up and giving you new advice, new training, and all that stuff. But it's fun. It's worth it, right? At the end of the day, you feel good. That's where I'm at right
10-hour days are long days when you're talking about doing self-defense training. It is tiring.
Yeah.
It is not being in the gym for an hour or even two for one day. It's a big difference being there for 8 to 10 hours. You were there 10 hours.
And you really got to plan out your hot and your fluids, what you're eating, when you can eat, not to eat too much, especially if you're going to grapple, because you eat too much and you get on the floor, you can feel reversals wanting to happen, right? It's like... Yeah,
depending on what you have for lunch.
Yeah. So it was good. It's exciting, because when I was taking this training, I did another integrated defense strategies testing. I did 2.0. When I was sitting there training, I was thinking about how integrated what you had been teaching me at the school was working well with Fosse's system over there. And it felt complete thanks to your training. Right, it felt like I had, not complete, like I haven't finished, but I'm saying it feels more complete, like it really ties
things start to tie together more, and that's where we want just self-defense. Who cares where it comes from, but let's look at the data. What are we training for? So many people get caught up in training for one thing. That's kind of where like CrossFit got really popular. If you're just doing strength training or you're just running, you're just good at running. You want to be all around, but also what we're talking about in self-defense is like high probability attacks of what's going to happen to you out on the street. So, we want things to work and be practical.
Yeah. And they were. It felt good. There was some successes. There was a lot of failures, and it was a lot of fun. The hardest part was I think halfway through I got sick as a dog. Like I got one really crappy night's worth of sleep.
Yeah,
and having to do and doing 17 hours of grappling, you can't drop out. There was actually a person, I think one or two did drop out this time because they were ill, right?
Yeah.
And it was just sheer willpower to just get up and try to get out there. And Not let everybody know that you're not 100%, right? But
Yeah.
you're trying and pushing. And it's just rough. And I think on the last day at noon when he's like, it's over, you've passed, I just kind of just slumped, right?
Yeah.
And it was over. I mean, it was...
Yeah. Then you're like, oh,
right.
all that, I'm not sick.
Yeah.
Gets to be a little less than...
Right. And I'm like, oh, God, I feel like crap.
Yeah.
Right? And then...
Yeah. You kind of let your guard down, so to speak.
Mm-hmm.
It's when you've been fighting that way and trying to push through. And even a lot of times people get sick after, an intense training just because they're so depleted from that 35, 40,
Right.
those days of training. You just can end up depleted and sick, especially if you're
probably
not
was
rehydrating and really trying to take care of yourself.
Yeah, those first 2 days I was trying to catch up on hydration. It was intense. I was in a new place too, right? There's more humidity. It was warm. It was cold. I wouldn't be moving to St. Louis, Missouri anytime soon. Pizza's fantastic.
Yeah. You keep talking about the pizza.
Oh, it was amazing. Like they have nothing but convenience stores out there. Their convenience stores look like shopping centers.
Yeah.
There's something like a QT. Like when people go to lunch, they don't go to your local like restaurant or something. They're like, I'm going to go buy the QT and pick up lunch. And it just blows my mind that convenience stores are those sort of things. And then it was a Wally's was the other one. You walk inside and there's all these like
Is
you can
that
get a
the thing
Wally's
that they're building up at the Johnstown?
No, it's a Buc-ee's.
It's Buc-ee's. Yeah.
So Buc-ee's is even more of a cultural phenomenon.
Yeah.
And it's
God, people,
right.
people, stop eating like crap.
And you walk in and it's all great looking food, but it's processed cheese on pretzels and a taco, and you get your 44-ounce soda. I was like,
even say it's that good looking. I don't know. I'm reading Peter Attia's book. It's just so crucial. If you want to live longer, people just eat like crap. And there's a little piece in there, I bookmarked it, but I forget what they said, like the average guy, even if you had you have 20 or 40 pounds of fat on you. And even if, I think, what did he say is stat, because it was like 4% of it was visceral fat. And just your percentages of having a cardiovascular incident. Like so many people are just carrying too much weight.
Yeah.
It's kind of, they said, diabetes was originally just started from the aristocrats that had the money to kind of eat like crap and sugar. Mm-hmm. It's our diet is so key, and it's a struggle, but how many people again lie to themselves like, I'm okay. Mm-hmm. I'm
better.
Average. But is that the right body weight for you?
Yeah.
I mean, guys are really bad at it. They're, this whole dad bod crap and everything else, and just the health problems that it leads to. Yeah, it's freaking hard. You want to live longer. It takes some effort. That's where I said, coming to a gym's not for everybody, because most people want to just sit on their ass and be lazy.
That's easy.
But then you're like, oh, it's not going to happen. It's kind of burying their head in the sand, eating that crap, and I feel good today until you don't.
Yeah.
That's really where it comes down to. This food, this crap that they're putting into it, you just have to fight the battle and fight it as much as you can. Mm-hmm. For those people here at RMSDF, we've been talking about the Yucca app that my wife had stumbled across, and there's some good things and some bad things about that app, because some of it will come up as poor, but there's some good things in it. Maybe it's a little high. You got to look like, why did it get a poor rating? Oh, they're a little too much tied to fat, where I'm like, well, I need fat. People have totally villainized fat, but I'm trying to scroll across my thing. Like there were some things like, Simple Mills, soft baked dark chocolate almond. It came up as poor because why? Sugar. Saturated fat, the number of calories. It was really, it's too fatty. And I'm like, maybe not for me. I don't know. You can get into it. But some of it, they were getting bad ratings. Some others, every brand, well, there was one that had an okay one. It was Archer's brand grass-fed beef jerky, the mango habanero,
Sounds delicious.
had a good rating, like 63 out of 100. It had too much sodium that it brought it down. But then a lot of the other beef jerkies were poor, all for, take a guess, were the additives.
Yeah,
so
fillers, right? It's all fillers.
And just the preservatives and the additives and stuff in there. So I actually just started making my own jerky.
Yeah, it's an interesting process.
It's not that hard.
No.
I would even say interesting. It's kind of easy if you're, you're not doing it out in the woods and really trying to smoke it out over a fire or anything like that. I've done one in the oven. I've done one on the Traeger.
Sure. They both work pretty darn well.
Yeah.
It's easy.
Well, and too, I'm like experimenting too. Both of them are different thicknesses, cuts.
Sure.
So they're a little different there. A little bit. The first one in the oven was more like a steak cut, a little bit thicker.
Yeah.
Because I did really like the Costco brand of their steak cut jerky, but it's got all these additives and other preservatives, and it had a poor rating. Mm-hmm. Like, I'll just make my own.
You can. Then you know what you're putting into it, right? You can get some. You can marinate them, right? You know what's going in the marinade. Some soy sauce, a little bit of
you can do a low sodium soy sauce.
Sure.
You can tweak that
juices
marinade.
Too. I mean, if you're going to add any sugars, just use fruit juices like the citruses. Very little sugar, monstrous taste.
Yeah.
Right, and then I've done that before. When you look at really well-made homemade jerky, it looks totally different than what's in the package because we're not adding back to it a bunch of things, right?
Yeah.
They're adding, there's some weird stuff they put in jerky.
Yeah. It's staying in that package.
Yeah, and it's preservatives, but I mean the whole point of salted meats is to preserve the meat over time, right? So. I mean it's the old school stuff. I like it. I've enjoyed doing it before, and I was recently looking into some nutrition stuff. The whole concept of the modern breakfast of cereals is just something that was created to get cheap grains off of manufacturers, right? They have these grains, they didn't know what to do with them, so the idea of the break fast means just that you're breaking a fast from when you wake up. But we've got this whole culture where it had to be bran flakes or corn flakes, and you get cheap grains, right? And they're usually loaded with sugar. When really humans, if you look at it, you need a high-fat breakfast. It should be like eggs and not necessarily potatoes, but anything that's super high-fat cheeses. Avocado. Like
I'm a little like, cheeses, there's a lot of...
If you're not... if you got a problem with milk products, it doesn't good, but
some of it is just crap. People are like, it's healthy, and you're like, is it?
I mean,
is that cheese healthy?
I don't know.
I mean, there's delicious. Definitely.
I think it's good. I do. I like cheese.
Yeah, I don't know. I think I'll just go back to everything in moderation, but I think there's a lot of just the processed cheese is crap.
Yeah, there's some cheeses out there that aren't cheeses, right?
Yes, and that's where people are, oh, cheese is great, it's healthy. No, it's not.
Right. Get yourself
you've got to get really dialed in on that. You got to, is it, it's not organic. My wife will like some cheeses, but it's not really, it's just real raw cheese. It's just cheese.
Yeah.
It's not
compressed curds versus some of the fillers and the colors they add, right?
And all this other stuff.
Yeah.
But it doesn't look pretty, just like you said earlier.
Right.
Oh, it looks so
good.
Just because it looks good
doesn't mean it is.
Oh, so I mean, you have to put in the work.
Yeah.
And that's, getting into a gym. You want to be safer. So many people want to take the easy route out of things. They don't want to train, and it takes some freaking training.
Yeah.
I mean, we just did pepper spray and taser, and so many people just don't understand it. Getting hit with a taser and fighting through some stuff, but that full ride getting hit with a taser, and it's not the prongs kind of where they're landing on you, shooting that taser out at somebody. I mean, it's great. It's a distance weapon. We, both like distance weapons, but one of those probes don't hit. Now you got to get up and touch the person.
Right, it's a different fight.
Mean, like everything else, it can fail, but we're doing the taser taped to you. We're not shooting anybody with the prongs.
Nice.
Then it's on your shoulder and it's on your opposite instep. I mean, it's just feeling that, of like what it feels like for the experience of knowing, again, like, okay, now anything that the prongs are closer, that's a little bit easier, quote unquote.
Sure.
You know, you've been there, you've kind of faced it, you know what it feels like, and if somebody did, you know, actually tase you, and we're again not talking about law enforcement being justified, but you know, we know people grab all these things, and you know, I think it could become more and more common. You're seeing people pepper spray people and being in the riots, or just being just, I mean, I watched a cameraman just being a jerk. I don't know what it was over. I don't know if it was over COVID. He's asking him to move out and from front, don't obstruct my door to my business. And of course he's pushing the guy's camera, he's touching him, but the guy pepper sprays him. But, you know, carrying a taser, I don't need a permit.
Yeah.
And
Like you got to be over 18 in most states and jurisdictions to carry a taser.
yeah, can you get your hands on one easier? You know, it's just another thing that you got to be out there and be mindful of, that somebody that has ill intentions might have a taser.
Yeah.
Of some sort to, you know, even intimidate you.
Sure.
They're intimidating. Just a regular handheld taser that I have to make contact with you is not getting hit by those prongs and it arcing between 2 points on you and contracting those muscles. But it's an experience, and you know, being pepper sprayed and going, okay, yeah, I can fight, I can do something.
Sure. Trying to just be
Because
able to
if you
fight
carry pepper spray and you've never had a drop of it in your eye, you're gonna freak out. I mean, there are people like really panicking.
Yeah.
And like I told you yesterday, I mean, the scenario we mocked up where they had to, you know, try to make a gun disarm as part of the whole experience, and then simulating somebody's now coming at you with a knife, and can you put rounds on them?
Yeah.
And the amount of people that were panicking and actually were not putting rounds were pretty surprising. The people crouched over, holding their eyes, and I had even given them, like, you might have to hold an eye open.
Mm-hmm.
You know, when I got pepper sprayed in the KMA, Krav Maga Alliance force training, that's what I was doing. I was holding an eye open and get on the ground and trying to see it, just force that eye open. With the amount of people holding their eyes, and they were actually saying bang, bang, bang with the gun pointed at the ground.
It's going off, but it's not going off
because
where you
they're
want to.
they're going, I got to shoot this person, but they've never been there. So it's been there, done that kind of thing. It's nothing you'd want to do on a weekly or even on a year.
No, regardless of what you tell me I need to do.
But if you're carrying pepper spray and you're not training.
Yeah, and if you've just been around pepper spray that's being sprayed away from you, it's an irritant. Like, you can feel it in the room. It's strong.
Yeah.
So when you use it as a self-defense mechanism and weapon, it works very well. It works on you.
It's going to work on you. So, you know, training, and train some more.
Yeah.
I mean, find a martial arts gym that fits your life, you know, fits you, your culture, and what your mission is. I think so many people get caught up in trendy. I just want to, like, do self-defense.
Sure.
And I want to be balanced out. If I start to specialize, hey, I might be really good at the range, but I'm not good. I'm a good marksman. But we've got to be decision makers, and you know, there's a really high probability that you're not going to need that weapon, and you're going to need some hand-to-hand skills. And there's not enough time in the day. And when you specialize, you know, if I go to the range with somebody that just shoots, they're going to blow me away. I mean, I've said it before. Like, I don't knife fight the knife fighter. You know? It is not enough time. But you've got to train people. I mean, I'm good It's the same. I'm fit. No, you're not. You don't do jack. You don't do anything. Being a human being should be a whole lot harder
than it is.
We've been talking, grid down. I'm like, people want to bury their head in the sand about, the power going out and this and that. And, and ways of separating the grid. Some guy was telling me, like, separating the grids and da-da-da. Like, but an EMP is just going to take out all of them. A solar flare is just going to take out all of them. People want to bury their head in the sand about about just about everything because we're looking for this easy path.
Sure.
And, do you really want to live in that 10% of the population that has gone to, I like to just, go with the zombie apocalypse.
Right.
Do you really want to be alive in there? Do you want to be part of the 90% that died?
Yeah.
Early on, I really want to live, but man, that's going to be hard.
Yeah.
Right? Just getting water and fire.
Yeah.
And maintaining that and food of how much that effort is going to take.
Yeah. Try living without.
I'll give the shout out to this guy because I think the book is really dialed in. Bill Anderson here. And of course, I'm on Outlive by Peter Attia. But Survival Theory by Jonathan Hollerman. It's a really good book. And it just makes you go, I am not prepared.
Yeah.
In what's going to happen. But at least my head's not buried in the sand. Most people don't want to talk about it. Oh, solar flare. They have no clue. And I look at, you start going, how many calories you need? You're going, God, you need like $20,000 of let's just say mountain house to survive in a family of 4.
For X amount
for a
of
year.
days.
I think he was a lot of his stuff was a year.
Sure.
Can you get through the first year? Get your guard. Holy moly.
Yeah.
And it's better, I just buried my head in the sand. I don't want to think about it. Because you look at it and, there's a lot of people out there just saying, get back to your house, right? Your bug out bag is really get back home to your family. But, man, staying in a freaking neighborhood when your neighbors go crazy and then when people start to starve and what they're willing to do.
Yeah.
Oh, it's crazy.
Yeah. In the first 6 months, there's going to be people that will starve to death. But in that time, they will be skinny zombies coming for your food. Yeah. They don't want to eat you. They want to eat what you have, right?
Yeah. And if you seem to have food or you're cooking, the smell of food and all of that stuff, it's just, kind of crazy to think about.
Yeah. And
it's that train more. If you hear at RMSDF, we've got to do another medical one. We've got to get that on there because you look at just trying to survive without modern medical. Not being able to go to the urgent care.
It's comfortable. It's nice. It's comfort. Right?
Yeah. I love my pillow.
Me too. I love my running water. I like being able to wash my hands after I eat. Yeah. And if you don't have running water and water's precious, what are you going to do?
Yeah.
Right. There's a lot of what ifs.
There's a lot of what ifs, and people bury their head in the sand about their diet, and they fool themselves all the time. And, you start looking at the science behind it. People just want to ignore it. And it just blows my mind. My mind can't go. Even right now, you got to cycle your training. I haven't been as dialed in with my fitness as I have been. But, there's those ups and downs because you can't run your body at 100% all the time. Especially when you're the older you get. You got to have that recovery. And things have to be balanced out. But, I'm still doing stuff. I'm still doing way more. I'm just not as dialed in. I'm not, I'll just go through phases. Man, I'm feeling really freaking good. And I'll push it harder on those. And then sometimes I'll cycle off. That's what, our Project Fit class here at RMSDF, I say, maybe you've done some other functional fitness, and maybe it wasn't for you because it was all about the weight and go faster and whatever else. You didn't like the culture. There's a lot of, I'm like, I don't like the culture here. Some fitness gyms get way too competitive, the whole CrossFit Games. And, that's great for that Games athlete, but I'm in it for the long haul. I really don't want to hurt myself. How did I feel today? Am I doing it a little bit lighter? Am I just doing something? But just trying to get in there and doing something, 5 days a week, getting out there. But people bury their head in the sand. And our Project Fit class is all about functional training, but it doesn't have to be, sometimes I'll say it's a suggestion. 30 reps. Well, maybe you're dying at 25, Josh. Then do 25.
Sure.
I mean, some people get in there and it's that mindset of like, it said 150 pull-ups on this website's thing, and this is a workout. Whew.
150 pull-ups would be...
That's a lot. That's a lot.
Right.
That's a lot. There's a time I could do it, but, sometimes it's just the wear on the body.
Yeah.
Do I really need to do 150 pull-ups?
Right.
Is that just a lot of wear and tear? They're good challenges. It's kind of like Murph, like 100 pull-ups. It's a good challenge. And they're broken up. They're not 100 in a row. 100 of something in a row is totally different than breaking it up over, 30 minutes of doing other things. But it's doing whatever you can take. Maybe you didn't like some other gym. You tried it. You thought you were going to like it. Maybe just the culture. I mean, you got to find your fit. That's what I'm like, give it a try. You got to find your fit.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why I say my gym's not for everybody, and it doesn't hurt my feelings. You're like, I didn't like it. I mean, we've had a guy try our fitness class and said it sucked and, hated it and came back. You're like, you know what? They wrap your head. You're like, sometimes it takes you a second to wrap your head around it. You're not always doing the things you like. It's about being functional and being well-rounded in your fitness. So,
yeah. It's terrifying because people do dumb things when they want things. Like during COVID, of all the things they hoarded, it was toilet paper, right? Like the decisions they made of what they wanted to keep was just
stupid. Let's just call it what it was. You're stupid.
Like it's worse than stupid. If you had 2 years worth of toilet paper, how do you feed your babies on that, right? You can't.
And I need toilet paper,
right? And really, we don't, but it's nice to have, right? But
yeah.
I need water. I need.
What are those people going to do when the toilet doesn't flush?
And I've seen that. I've seen the panic.
I've seen that happen, yeah.
I've seen the panic. Like, there were people that were just standing at a latrine, and they just stared at it for a solid 5 minutes. Like, they had no concept of how they were going to go to the bathroom without a toilet. Adults. Like, college students, grown-ass adults, just contemplating, right? Have no clue. And it's not like you can get out there and try to demonstrate, because that's always very uncomfortable, right? It never happens. But that was true panic. So much so that a bunch of them left. I know 2 that left. They were just like...
What was it for?
It was another anthropology thing. We just didn't have toilets. There was no running water. So one person asked, like, where's the bathroom? And I was like, well, we have to go dig latrines. And the question was, what's a latrine? Like, I had to tell them what it was. And then they said, you mean I have to go to the bathroom outside? And I said, yes. Yes. And there were phone calls made. Eventually, a porta potty was brought in.
Eventually, a porta potty got in.
Because people, genuine, that was the one. But there was no concept of it. You could see in their mind where they're trying to think about how they're going to squat. You can kind of see how their body's, going through the motions. And it's like...
That's right, yeah. A lot of people don't even want to camp because they're like, oh... And it's also why, I hate them too. You're like, campgrounds.
Yeah.
Oh, that's not camping. There's the porta potties there.
It's still a lot of
so many people.
Comfort, right?
Just the porta potties being there.
Yeah.
Right? Never mind if it's like an RV one where people can bring their camper and now they're just driving up in there. Man, I just love backpacking your stuff in.
Yeah.
That's camping to me. I mean, everything car camping or glamping, but people will do that because there's a porta potty there.
Yeah.
They won't do you want to go backpacking with us? Oh, Wait a second.
Well,
There's
I
no
can't-
bathrooms
I don't really
out
know
in the
how
woods,
to.
are there?
Right. People don't know how to poop in the woods. They just
Yeah.
don't. I mean,
But they're going to panic. And
they did.
that's why I look at just, being prepared, having some self-defense skills. I think it's a necessary skill.
Right. We have to practice to get our martial arts skills.
But
If there's any
guys,
other skill,
they think
practice.
they're good.
Yeah, because you don't know how to use it. If you have to practice it in order to know that you can do it, right?
Yeah.
So if you're saying you can, you can't. You have to do it.
Yeah, and that's where, our gym, we don't specialize. It's not a specialized self-defense, a specialized gym.
Mm-hmm.
We're not just boxing. We're not just we try to integrate everything. But, unless you have mounds and mounds of time, which the average person doesn't. Yeah, there's those martial artists that they'll join 3 different gyms.
Yeah, which is crazy.
It's because, they can't get it. You get in a big city, there's places that you can train with really world-class people
Sure.
in one location. They might have different membership tiers, whatever, but some people, they're going to their BJJ gym, they're going to their Muay Thai gym, they might be, doing CrossFit somewhere. That's the exception. That's the 1%er. We're trying to play the data here and go and get people well-rounded. We're not specializing because most people have, 2 to 3 hours a week, maybe. There's people that have dedicate an hour of it. I'm like, it's better than nothing coming to one class, but we're trying to create well-rounded people here.
Yeah.
And that's where, if you go and do something with somebody that specializes, they're going to be better at it than you.
Yeah, that's their
We're trying to be what happens out in the street. And I look at, grid down, at least I've got some hand-to-hand skills, our firearms training. I've got firearms training. I'm not Rambo.
No one is.
Yeah, I don't really. But there's a lot of people that feel like they are, and they're going to be really proficient with their gun because they carry their gun.
Uh-huh.
And awesome, my man, yes. But if you're not training with it outside of the range and doing other things, that's where we came in. That's what we've been looking for. The range is great, but we specialize in self-defense and integrating that firearm into hand-to-hand, where most people just want to go to the range and shoot.
Yeah.
And
Feel
that's
good. But there's also feel-good training, like going out there and just trying to feel good about what you do and not challenging yourself too much.
Yeah.
So you got to be really cautious about
Yeah.
just doing feel-good training. Like go out and do the things that make you uncomfortable. Do the things that I'm not the best at, right?
Yeah. I mean, it's the, well, I brought it by Nick last night. He was the same way, being in law enforcement. I'm like, Josh wants me to tase him and see if he can get to his gun while he's getting tased. I'm like, man, that's just such a bad picture because most people that tase people are law enforcement. And I really feel...
I said pepper spray.
No, you said, then I'm going to pepper spray your ass, like right now.
No, don't do
You
it
said it
now.
was surprise.
Not now. I got to teach a class in a little while. It's going to be unpleasant.
That, it's a challenge.
Yeah.
And some of us, there was a couple of black belts talking about after. I'm like, yeah, we talked about, doing that. Maybe we do it as black belts of like, if you're getting tased, how much can you fight from, those being 12 inches or so apart versus that full ride?
Yeah.
You're not fighting that.
Yeah.
You're not being combative. A bunch of people are like, I wanted to hit you. And I'm like, yeah, but you couldn't.
Right.
You're locked up.
Right.
I'm like, you'd be there, I'm going to kill you right now, but there's not a whole lot of killing going on when you're getting fully lit up.
Yeah.
But, is it that check, hey, if somebody, worst case scenario, did tase me, could I fight through that? Or the panic. And that's what we're talking about. I'm talking about every internet idiot out there of commenting on the post. Because no matter what you say, they're going to say something else.
Mm-hmm.
And do you want that out there on your channel? I think it's a good experience.
I'm just looking forward to the Ride the Lightning t-shirt you're going to put out.
Ride the lightning.
Ride the lightning and embrace the pepper suck or something like
Yeah.
that. Have a little badge for like the Zeus juice. That's the other thing I've heard it called.
Oh yeah. Yeah, it doesn't feel good. That's for
It's
sure.
super hard to fight through. But just be cautious of the training. Get out there, actually do it, practice. Make sure you meet some people.
Yeah, it could be uncomfortable. Like just somebody's hands on your throat, somebody on top of you. It's a place you're not normally at, and getting used to it.
Sure.
It's not comfortable,
right?
And you're not going to be good at it right off the bat.
Yeah.
Who cares? Who cares?
Right.
A good gym's going to be supportive,
right,
of it, and try to help you along. And finding that fit can be hard. Finding the culture that fits you. Like I said, not every gym's for you.
Right.
I took my mother-in-law a bunch of years ago to a CrossFit gym, and the guy said, "Yeah, we have a few people like you."
Ouch.
Meaning old. It could have been like, geez, good thing you.
Ouch. Like you can take that lots of different ways.
Yeah, you can take that lots of, depending on who the person is. But yeah, meaning old people. Ooh, she was turned off right there.
That is like the end of there's no cell there. There's no membership showing up on your door from that one.
Yeah. And, sometimes, that, you never know.
That's why it's fun here, because we'll support each other through it. If we fail, embrace the failure. Expect to fail. That's the thing, is everybody expects, I'm going to be great the first day, or they just don't want to be embarrassed by other people, and you got to get over that. Just go in and train it. Look, I'm going to look dumb, is what I hear. Well, I look dumb every day.
Yeah, who cares? It's better to look dumb in the class instead of in front of your loved ones.
Yeah.
Or just the failure. It's like what I do a lot to my, especially elementary school class. I'm like, your teacher gives you a frowny face or a smiley face, whatever it is. I'm like, you know what you get when your self-defense doesn't work and you do bad? I'm like, you get an emoji face that's real. And you go home to your mom and you get a black eye, and they're going to be like, oh, your inside defense didn't work, huh? You're going to have a beat-up emoji face. The kids think it's funny, but it sinks into them that you're going to be a beat-up emoji face.
Yeah.
Because you're fooling around in class, you weren't taking it serious. That's the truth.
Yeah.
But,
learn the skills that you practice. And
you got to do it, and, gosh, actually, I just told somebody it sounds like you're all over the place with your martial arts. And I think the lady didn't like it. Not really. But I think she was kind of looking for a deal.
Yeah.
And I was over here with a friend, but it's kind of far away. So I'm like, okay, you're over here with one kid. And now you want to move this other kid, due to schedule? Okay, maybe. But I'm like, it does sound like you're all over the place. So why don't you just come in and check us out?
Right. Just try.
But, was it the right thing to say? But I'm like, God, you're all over the place. I was like, it sounds like you're all over the place. Why don't you just come in and check us out and see if you even like it? Because I don't want to keep talking to you, go over membership options with you. And already, can you give me a deal? It was already fishing for a deal.
Yeah.
Like right from the get-go.
No deal for you.
No
no deals.
There are no deals.
No deals. No refunds.
Like, no suit for you.
Yeah.
But that turned her off. But I'm like, come in and see.
Yeah.
You didn't check us out in the first place, and we're close to you. Why didn't you check me out in the first place? Because you were looking for deals, is what I'm like.
Yeah.
In there, check out our culture. Just check it out. Make sure. But a lot of times, and the older I get, sometimes I don't want to hurt people's feelings, but dude, you're overweight. Like, do something.
Right.
Get out there. You're going to be better. That I'm sick of the feel-good crap. I think you wanted to ask me on this podcast, like what 51, almost 2-year-old John would say to the John that started.
Yeah.
I can't even remember how old I was when I officially left my martial arts instructor and started teaching entirely on my own. But, I was definitely more one percenters. Like, the training was a lot harder. It was, you had to definitely kind of be at least a 10 percenter to survive in the gym long term. I probably would have been like, chill out, get more people in there. But I wasn't concerned so much for a long time, even when it was my full-time living of making it easier, because I was just too caught up in the way I train. And those were the people that were coming to my gym and were I would say a lot harder in there. Classes were harder. If you're going to fight through it, we've definitely made classes easier over the last 10 years at least. Of like, let's make it a little bit more beginner friendly, where I was, this is what we're doing. Like, the younger you, like, train this way. And not knowing how hard it was on that 40-year-old guy, let alone 50 or 60. So we've definitely toned it down, I think, and trying, hey, everybody should, we want people to suck less. We've got to, ramp them in a little bit easier. I mean, my very first Krav Maga test, all of the people in that test became instructors.
Wow.
The picture's right downstairs next to the front desk.
Yeah.
The original gangsters, they all became Krav Maga instructors for a period of time.
Wow.
But where were they all? They were the hardcore, right? They were the hardcore out of that.
They wanted it.
That group. So I'd, say sometimes chill out a little bit more.
Yeah.
I think I always had, I would say, like, I've always been patient, I think. A lot, especially with the kids and stuff. But patient doesn't mean that you're not, like, you're not being hardcore.
Right.
Like, that didn't help. So I was definitely, running a gym and training for, 10% of the people.
Sure.
So, but that's hard.
Right.
You got to find, some people want that gym. Yeah. That's their mentality. Here we're like, just keep ramping it up. It's going to get harder and harder. If you want it super hard day one, it's really hard to run a gym that you are for the 1%er.
Yeah, because there's not a lot of them. I mean,
because most people are coming in your gym are not 1%ers.
Yeah.
But when that 1%er comes in, you're like, oh, gee, I want it harder. Jeez,
well,
like,
you can
keep
just
coming
elevate
or
it for
prove,
then,
prove over time that you're getting that. You might be a tough guy or girl, but you don't have the skill. So, like, okay, but we still need to get you an established skill. You don't need to kill each other just because you're tough or you played football, or you did this or that, and you're physically tough, mentally tough. You can take a hit. You still got to learn the technique. So I'm like, chill out. It'll get harder and harder as we advance, but a beginner class can't be this killer.
No, they're just there to learn.
1%.
Right.
It's going to be really hard to run a gym that way.
Sure, because there are people
and that's where I
never done anything.
I did, and going, gosh, I should have been, more focused on the business or looking at the training. But the way I looked at training then was just, a lot harder. Because you're younger, and you can do more, you can take more. So
yeah, the mind and the body become wiser as we move forward, and sometimes the body's like,
you got to get smarter because you're like, I can't do that anymore.
Right. Because during my training, I was taking on some 20-year-olds, and I was like, man, I'm twice their age now. I feel like, I can still put up a decent fight, but man, it was just tougher. It's just tougher.
Yeah. It's even, on the fitness side, I'm like, yeah, I could do 100 pull-ups, but you know what? 75 might be a better number for me.
Yeah.
And some of that is a learning curve of being, man, I'm really sore.
Yeah.
But, you go, let me dial it back. And it's all numbers sometimes. Some people get too tied up, I think, on the fitness side on a number. Like, just hey, you were here, I'm happy.
Yeah.
You were doing something. Once in a while, like, I think, people you're like, you're getting too religious with what's up on the board. And sometimes you're like, it's what works for you. You gotta, sometimes there's a little voice in your head, like, you're like, oh, that's enough. And usually I say, let me get 2 more. Let me get 3 more. Come on. There's just that little voice in your head looking for easy. But it's an evolution in fitness sometimes of, hey, I just got to the friggin' gym. That was a battle for the person versus the person that can come in and go, all right, I'm here, no problem. But I can do 50. That beginner might start out and go, I can do 50, and they get in there and it gets hard.
Yeah.
You're like, well, maybe 30, maybe,
Right.
and don't get tied up in it.
Yeah.
But as I'm older, what do I need to do 150 pull-ups for in a workout? It's just not worth it.
Yeah.
I just want to be overall fit. I want to work my strength. I want to work my metabolic conditioning.
Sure.
And it might not be that number from when I was 30, from when I was 40. My different numbers will change. Or your time domain. Okay, I can do 50, but it's taking me 40 minutes instead of 30 minutes.
Sure.
Sometimes you do have to push yourself.
Yeah.
And have those hard days, but it's tough.
They happen.
You just got to walk in. You got to start doing something to be better.
Yeah. Just getting out of the house is the battle for some. We're not here to judge. Just come on in. Just come in. Do something.
Yeah, absolutely. And if you want to do something to support the podcast, check out shop.rmsdf.com. That'll get you all your Rocky Mountain self-defense and fitness gear. There's a ton of stuff on there for you Krav Maga and self-defense 2A minded people. And then our shop.ClearSky.Training. You can get all our ClearSky branded self-defense and 2A stuff, as well as our just online portal, which is, what is it? Do you know? You don't know the portal?
Say something.
I am saying something. I'm quizzing you, because if you don't know the portal, I'm going to punch you in the face and pepper spray you now.
You're still going to do that anyway, so.
No, seriously.
I don't remember the damn portal.
Can you? I don't remember the portal. Under the stress of me coming around the desk, getting into the case where the taser and pepper spray are you going to be able to get to the website and find the portal? No, Josh cannot. Oh, man, he's demoted. All right, our training portal is ClearSky.Training. That's it. No .com. It's ClearSky.Training for all our online videos. We house them there. If you're a member here, it's a little add-on. We tried to include it in the membership, and then people wanted it taken out. They didn't want to pay for it. So it's entirely up to you. You don't want to use it? Don't use it. I always kind of like, hey, consider this technique. If you don't want to do it, then do some other thing from your other system. I don't care. Really. Just don't inflict your tactics on other people. Let them make up their own mind, but it is out there for people to use. It's amazing how many members don't use it. And then they go, I was online and I found this technique. It seems a little different than what you taught. I'm like, yeah, it's a tweak. Somebody's got another. Maybe it's good. I'm like, hey, that's something to consider. But you want our technique, it's right there on the portal, guys. It's right there. Parents, it's going to help you guys out with your kids' training, that you can reference the actual video that versus trying to Google something and hope it's the same thing that we're training. There's plenty of good stuff out there, guys. I think our stuff's pretty good, so check it out. I think Josh wants to wrap it up. So we are out of here for another week. You guys, thanks for tuning in. Get out there, do something. Tell somebody about rmsdf.com. This could be a good fit for them. You never know until they try it out. So get in there and train more, guys, and suck a little less every day.